Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari A to Z Flashback, a series of explorations of the 150 games that make up Atari Flashback Classics for Nintendo Switch. Today's game is RealSports Tennis for the Atari 2600. This was a 1983 release for Atari 2600 alongside most of the rest of the RealSports lineup that we've seen so far. And much like the other games in the series, this also saw both 2600 and 5200 releases and was developed before the RealSports brand was established. And consequently in the game itself it refers to itself simply as Tennis, with the RealSports branding only actually appearing in the manual and on the box. The game came out 2 years after Activision's Tennis, and to many players looked remarkably similar, and played quite similarly as well. But the Atari game was a little bit more colourful and even allowed you to enter your name, or rude words, on the scoreboard in the background, so that made it better, I guess. Anyway, let's go play RealSports Tennis for Atari 2600.
Okay, welcome once again to Atari Flashback Classics, where today we're taking a look at RealSports Tennis for the Atari 2600. So just 3 more RealSports games to go, and then we're through. We're through to hopefully some more. I joke, some more interesting stuff. But you know, it has been interesting in its own way to look at these RealSports games to see exactly how Atari was doing things like taking on Intellivision was the main point behind this this series of games, because Intellivision became really renowned for having good sports games, and that was a key part of the Intellivision's advertising campaign, particularly in the early days. Like a very early Intellivision advert was putting a Intellivision baseball game next to Home Run on the 2600, and if you think back to when we played Home Run and how basic that game is, you can see why they did that. It makes a lot of sense. But yeah, RealSports was very much an attempt to directly compete with what Intellivision were doing and try and do something a bit more than we'd seen in the past. Anyway, RealSports Tennis for 2600. Let's take a look at the manual. Slightly blurry scan, but it'll do. You're in the 3rd set. The game score is 5-4, your advantage. Your opponent overpowers you with a tremendous smash to your backhand. The score is deuce again. You're tense and tired, but you muster all your strength and go for it. Just 2 more points and the match is yours. This is a really bad quality scan. I'm not sure how well that comes across in the video, but yes, this is very poor. Positioned at the baseline, you prepare to serve. Maybe this time you'll ace him and take the advantage, and then maybe you won't. Anyway, there's no time for speculation. The ball's in the air. Your serve lands near the baseline and you rush the net to volley. This time you're ready. Pow! You hit a steely angle shot down the sideline. Your opponent lunges fiercely, stumbles, and misses. The crowd sits restlessly with excitement in the stands. You turn around to see your name on the scoreboard with the AD in your favour. The tension builds as you slowly move back to the service line. It's hot, your eyes are straining and your body's weakening after hours on the court. The clink of champagne glasses and bright white suits in the first row don't help your concentration either. Across the court, your opponent crouches, ready for your serve. He's got to be as tired as you, but doesn't show it. This is your chance. Feeling a second wind, you reel back as the ball descends. You uncoil, hitting the ball with a powerful strike. It lands in front of your opponent's astonished face and bounces wildly to the sidelines. You've aced him. You fall to your knees, your arms upraised in victory. Okay, in order to win the RealSports Tennis match, you must win 2 out of 3 sets. Points are scored by hitting a shot over the net that your opponent can't return. Following each game, the receiver becomes the server. Also, players switch sides after the first game and then after every other game, according to the official rules of tennis. Okay, you can personalise the RealSports Tennis scoreboard by entering your name or your player's name. Okay. In some games, the red control button is used to swing the racket. Okay, so there's 2 ways you can play this. One is kind of like a slightly prettier version of Pong, where you just have to move into the right place to hit the ball. But in some game modes, you have to actually press the button to swing as well. There are 3 kinds of shots in RealSports Tennis: normal, lob, and smash. A normal shot is hit when your player is in a standing position or is moving from side to side. A smash as your player runs towards the net, and a lob as your player runs away from the net. You can angle your shot by hitting the ball with the tip of the racket. The closer to your body the ball is, the straighter it will go. Okay, so it's all pretty straightforward. Like I say, it's not that much more complicated than Pong. In terms of execution, it just looks a bit nicer. How do we set it whether or not we have to use the button? Here we are. Use the difficulty switches to select automatic or manual racket control. In position A for advanced, remember, You must press the controller button to hit the ball, so that's more complicated, that's more difficult, that's why it's in the A position for advanced. In position B, your player will automatically hit the ball. In single player games, the right difficulty switch controls the ability of the computer player. Alright, this all seems pretty straightforward, so let's just reset this. Oops. Tennis from 1983 Atari. As you can see, there's no sign of the RealSports branding on that title screen. Like I said, that's because RealSports branding was thought up after the game had been finished. All right. Actually, I'll tell you what. One thing I'm going to do, since I upgraded my capture setup recently, so that it captures at 60 frames a second now, so we can now actually turn the flicker back to authentic mode. So that might make some things look a bit better on screen, believe it or not, because although flicker is not necessarily a desirable thing, turning that setting to filtered actually has an effect on some of the graphics. So let's actually remember to change it this week. Okay. Right. Tennis. Game select. So 1 player fast, 2 player slow, 2 player fast, 2 player slow. Let's start with the 1 player slow match. So game reset. Then we can put our name in. Ooh, the power. Bums. Here we go. That done? Alright, so unlike a lot of arcade style tennis games, you start at the top instead of down at the bottom. So and we're playing on the mode where I don't have to press the button to hit the ball. You just have to run into it and just tap it over the net. Like I say, just basically Pong. So you'll see it's pretty straightforward. There's no there's a lot of the real rules of tennis missing. You notice the representation of the court is very simple. For example, there's no serving areas. There's no lines around the outside. I can't remember what they're called. I know how to play tennis, but I just don't know it that well. Like I don't know a lot of the terminology. But there's no lines down the outside of the court, for example, the ones that you'd use in a doubles match to show where the ball's in. So it's just literally a square court. So when you serve, you don't have to make sure you serve to the right place or anything like that. You just have to hit it over the net, basically. And you'll also see that because of the nature of the way this game plays, there's no way of actually hitting it into the net either. Alright, 2 games to me. Oh no! So this is super simple. But tennis is quite a simple, straightforward game anyway. Tennis is all about taking those simple rules and mastering them and applying them in such a way that you can outsmart your opponent. And I think from that perspective, this is actually pretty good. Because like most, not all, most of the other RealSports games for the 2600, this keeps things nice and simple and accessible, so that anyone could pick this up and be able to play it. There's no complicated button combinations to learn. You don't need to tell people how to perform different types of shot. It's just literally run into the ball and you'll hit it back. Contrast this with something like Mario Tennis Aces on the Switch, which is a game I like very, very much. But it's a nightmare to teach to other people because it's got so many cool mechanics in it that if you're trying to introduce it to someone new, it's an absolute nightmare, because not only have you got different buttons for different types of shots, but you've also got mechanics that are unique to that game, like its special slow motion zone shot and its special moves and the ability to dive around the court and all that sort of thing. And it just makes it supremely difficult to teach that game to new people, which is a shame, because once you get the hang of it, it's a really, really fun tennis game. Whereas this, you tell someone, you move your little dude around with the D-pad and you hit the ball by running into it. I'm pretty sure that anyone could pick that up without too much difficulty, even the most incompetent moron. Not that I'm suggesting any of my viewership are incompetent morons, nor that any of their friends are incompetent morons, but I do have some friends who have struggled to pick up the rules and the execution of certain types of game, even 2600 ones, if they are more than just a little bit complicated. Like, I wouldn't even try and attempt to teach them how to play RealSports football, for example. RealSports soccer? Perfect. RealSports football? No, 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 no. Not only do I have no desire to play that game ever again, I also have no desire to attempt to teach anyone else how to play it either. Alright, so that's 1 set to me. Got some nice little tunes in this. It's quite rare to hear the 2600 doing music, largely because it normally makes some sort of hideous cacophony that only barely resembles music on the most surface level. But in this, they've managed to sort of pick a relatively pleasant tone to play the melodies. They're not trying to do too much. It's just a straight melody. They're not trying to put harmonies or drum beats in there or anything. Not trying to do more than the poor old sound chip can handle. Which, generally speaking, is how to work with the 2600 effectively. It is capable of great things in the right hands, but you also have to remember that it's a late 70s technology and it can only do so much. My tablet keeps thinking I'm talking to it for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, the best 2600 games are the ones that bear the platform's limitations into account, work well within those limitations, and perhaps demonstrate some interesting things you can do within those limitations. But what I'm talking about is mostly from a game design perspective, because you've got such limited control options on the Atari 2600. You've got a joystick and you've got a single button. And you've got the switches on the front of the console, but those aren't especially practical to use under everyday circumstances. From a game design perspective, the best 2600 games are the ones that bear that particular limitation in mind. And that's why this game works well, because you only need a button and a joystick for this one. You don't need multiple buttons. You don't need button combinations. You don't need to sort of do elaborate directional inputs or anything like that. It's just move your dude. Hit the ball. Might have been nice to have some slightly more substantial sound effects when you hit the ball. Because we've just got that little farty pop at the minute, which is a little bit underwhelming. You get the occasional hint of a slightly more substantial sound, but it doesn't seem to happen with any great consistency, which is a bit of a shame. But I think it might relate to the type of shot you're using. So remember, if you run forward, you do a smash shot, and I think that has a different sound effect to just doing a normal shot. It's a good fun though. And like I say, very, very simple, especially in single player. It's not something you want to spend hours with as a single player. Although it's got its appeal. Sometimes you just want a quick, simple game that you can play against the computer, have a bit of fun. And it certainly delivers on that front, although the computer opponent isn't brilliant. We'll have a go on the fast mode with having to press the button and the advanced computer player in a moment, so we'll basically whack it up to its hardest possible difficulty setting. And just see what happens there. Oh, he's catching up. Not anymore, he's not. I am victorious. Alright, so let's go to one player fast. Let's set the computer opponent to advanced. And let's set the left difficulty to advanced as well, so I have to hit the button. And before we start, I'm going to have a sip of coffee, if you'll excuse me. Good stuff. Right, let's do it. What should we call ourselves this time? It's just such a novelty to be able to input any kind of text on the 2600 that you have to take advantage of it, don't you? Alright, one player fast. Farts versus computer. And I have to hit the button to actually hit the ball this time. Whee! You know, weirdly, that's such a tiny difference to the mechanics. But it feels so much more interactive now. Just the introduction of pressing the button to hit the ball. It now feels more like a tennis game. Much more like a modern tennis game. And it feels less like elaborate Pong. And more like something a bit closer to what we'd expect from a tennis game today. But they still make tennis games. I can't remember the last time I saw an actual tennis game. I know there were at least a couple of Virtua Tennises from Sega on the 360 and the PS3. You know, I don't remember seeing any other tennis games for quite a long time. It may just be that I've not been looking for them, because I don't make a point of looking out for a lot of tennis games, but there are plenty that I've enjoyed in the past. The Virtua Tennis series being several. Anna Kournikovas Smash Court Tennis from Namco on the PS1 is probably my favourite of all time. Mario Tennis is good as well, especially the Game Boy version, which has like a whole RPG attached to it. But yeah, I like a good tennis game. And just a simple addition of the swing button. Oh no. Just a simple addition of the swing button to this makes it feel a lot more like a tennis game and less like a Pong game. This advanced level computer player is much better. He's not letting these shots past. Oh, I scored. It had to happen at some point. Ooh. Oh, dear me. Oh, dear me. Over your head. Come on, lob it. No. Get past him. The tricky thing you have to adjust to in this is that unlike a lot of modern tennis games where you direct the shot by pushing the direction as you hit the ball or just before you hit the ball, in this one the direction you hit the ball, it simply relates to how close you were to the ball when you hit it. So once you get your head around that, you can aim things a bit more... Oops. You can aim things a bit more accurately, but it's very easy to just get into that habit of trying to push the direction and thinking, why aren't you going over there? But no, doesn't work like that, as we can see. Yeah, I'm struggling as a result. Yeah, he is putting up a fight, and his net play game is strong. Not something I necessarily thought you'd be able to distinguish in an Atari 2600 sports game, but no, you can see that, like, when he comes up close to the net, it's very difficult to get past him. Oh, he's wrecking me. Absolutely wrecking me this time around. So obviously this would likely be a lot more fun with 2 people. I don't believe there's a way to play doubles, which is a shame. I think you might be able to on the 5200 version, which we'll look at next time. But no, this is just a straight 2-player game. And as I say, if you've played Activision's Tennis, there aren't necessarily a ton of reasons to play this over Activision's Tennis. It looks slightly nicer. It's got multicolored sprites instead of the single color sprites of Activision's Tennis. And you can type your name in, which is probably the main selling point for most people. Oh, just hit it round him. There we go. I think so far as the direction of the ball goes, you basically have to imagine yourself as a Pong paddle. Imagine that there's an invisible Pong paddle running through the middle of your player. And that's how you determine which direction it goes. Because it works pretty much in the same way as rebounding the ball in Pong. It's sort of divided into those distinct areas, with each area corresponding to a direction. Uh-oh. So it's not about pushing that direction. It's about positioning yourself in such a way that you can get the ball around your opponent. Oh dear. It is going very poorly. I can score 15 on him every other game, and that's about it. Oh no, we got 2 past him. Could this be our great comeback? Almost definitely not. I can't believe you returned that. That should have gone right past you, but it did not. Don't you come near the net. Oh, you poo face. It's a shame you can't rename the computer player as well. Otherwise, he would be called Poo Face right about now. Just stop. Stop it. Arrgh. This is really hard. I'm having fun though. I'm getting surprisingly invested in this. Oh god, it's gonna be a clean sweep for him though, isn't it? I can see it coming now. Oops. Yes, thank heavens this game is too early to show you post-match statistics of how many shots you returned and how many points you actually gained in the game in total. Oh dear. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Nah. No. Oh dear. Only 3 more games to go. Before this is all over. Because I'm not going to win one, am I? Not at this rate. I didn't realise there'd be quite such a difference between the 2 difficulty levels. Maybe maybe a little bit more granularity would have been nice. But like I say, like most sports games on the Atari, this is primarily intended for 2 players. So the fact that there's a single player mode at all is worthy of note and praise, especially when you think back to how many of the early 2600 games, even the established classics, were designed for 2 players and 2 players only. It's like combat is great, but if you don't have anyone to play against, you can't play it. Which is a shame. That's one thing I've not looked into, actually. I wonder if anyone has made a version of combat that can be played single player. Oh, I won a game! Oh my god. That sounds like something the homebrew community has almost certainly done at some point. I will have to look into it. Oh no! No. Just stop. 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 Oh, I can't do this. It's too hard. It will all be over soon, though. You can take comfort from that fact. Two more games for the win. Oh, that was quite a nice shot. Right past him. That went right past me. Oh, lovely. More of that, please. Oh, my smash game is starting to prove effective. Now it is ineffective once again. I enjoyed those 2 points, though. Whoops. Deuce. Get away from the bloody net. It's nearly over. It's nearly over. Crowd is hushed, waiting for what seems like an inevitable final result. But could this be it? Could this be the incredible turnaround that Farts has been waiting for? Almost certainly not. But we can hope. We can hope and we can dream that Farts will one day achieve the tennis skills that he is truly capable of. Unfortunately, while he is in the hands of some incompetent British idiot, that is never going to happen. Come on, you're just delaying the inevitable at this point. I know you're going to win. Please just win. There we go. Oh! Brain fart from the computer. Advantage me? What is this? What is going on? Oh my god! Oh, no. Come on, Farts, you got this. Maybe you don't have this. But you can try. His Better to try and fail than never have tried at all. Or words to that effect. Of course, that's applied to more meaningful circumstances than playing RealSports Tennis against the Atari 2600, but, you know, it's just as valid here. I'm not going down without a fight. Oh, deuce. Advantage. Match point. Oh, it's all over. Well then, that was something, wasn't it? Oh, that's good fun, actually. Yeah, definitely good fun with a friend. I've played this with a friend a few times, and it's quite enjoyable. More so than playing against the computer, I think. Playing against the computer has its certain appeals, definitely. But yeah, this is primarily a game that shines in two-player mode, as with most sports games on the Atari 2600. So we'll leave that there for now then. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.